All right, my friends and followers, good evening. I'm Patrick McGeehan. I am your South Florida lawyer, and I am your best friend at your worst time. I'm going live on a couple different formats this evening, or a couple different platforms. So let me see if I can get everything situated. All right, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, well, we should be live on YouTube, and we are live on TikTok. And I'm here for your Monday update for courts, cases, life, and whatnot. Once again, I'm your South Florida lawyer, Patrick McGeehan. I'm your best friend at your worst time. If you're in need of legal services or have questions about Florida law, you can contact me on any one of the platforms of which I am on. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Ask a Florida Divorce Lawyer. I have a law firm Facebook page, the Law Offices of Patrick McGeehan. I'm on Instagram as the Magic City Lawyer. I'm on Twitter as my handle is at PJ McGeehan Law. I am on YouTube as your South Florida Lawyer, and I am on LinkedIn as Patrick McGeehan, on Tumblr and on Snapchat as the Magic City Lawyer. And of course, my email is patrick@pjmlawyer.com. You can email me or DM me questions, any of those. I check them regularly, and we should be up and running on all platforms, hopefully. Let's see if we are on YouTube. I see we are on Facebook. Looks good on Facebook. Let's try YouTube out just to make sure that we're on there. And don't want to miss anybody. So make sure we're on all platforms. All right, let's go. Yep, we are on all platforms, including YouTube, and it seems to be working. We don't have anybody checked in on YouTube yet. We got a few checked in on TikTok, and nobody yet on Facebook. Anyway, I wanted to give you the Monday update for what's going on in South Florida. Surprisingly, I know nobody's surprised, all courts are closed. Broward County had previously closed until April 17th, Palm Beach County until May 1st, I think it was, and Dade County just issued an order last week closing until April 17th. The talk between myself and a couple other lawyers is we are expecting it to go further than the April 17th date. So what does that mean? Well, it basically means at this point, a lot of attorneys are up and running and they're waiting for the courts to catch up. A lot of judges are coming online with Zoom conferences and are able to handle hearings through telecommunication software such as Zoom. And one or two more judges came up this week, I noticed. But so far, the lawyers are waiting for the courts to catch up. Business is running along as usual. We settled a family law case over the weekend on a Zoom settlement conference, which was a very contentious case. But both parties realized that these times are different, and there's at least a new temporary normal that's in place now, and the need for really open and direct communication, compromise, and working in the best interest of what's good for the family is really paramount at this time. So with those principles in mind, we were able to resolve a case. And today we were able to resolve a personal injury case with an insurance company that had been going on and on. Apparently the insurance adjusters are a little slow now, so they're pushing cases to get them resolved. So we got that case resolved, contacted the client this afternoon, and he was exceedingly happy. We have video depositions coming up this week. This will be the first time I've tried to do a remote video deposition We'll be doing everything remotely. The client will be calling in from their home on Zoom. The other lawyers will be calling in from Zoom. The court reporter will be calling in from Zoom, and that should be interesting. Just basically, we're still filing cases. Over the weekend, we had some cases come in, and a case came in which I didn't well, I should have expected it to come in, but I didn't really think about it, I guess. We had a Marchman Act case come in, and it seems to be, people are at home, and this is the second week we're involved in this, and I guess they're getting bored or whatever, and, they're resorting to, unproductive or damaging activities. In this particular case, this young lady was relapsed. She had gotten out of rehab a few months ago, and she relapsed during our stay-at-home orders. So we had to file a Marchman Act petition and get that heard, and the judge heard it today, which was really good. That's one of the essential cases, along with domestic violence and all of the violence injunctions that they are proceeding with. You can still go down and file those petitions at the local courthouses. Just you have to go to the main courthouses now. You can't do it in any of the branch courthouses for domestic violence and Marchman Act cases. So some cases are progressing as usual. In our cases, discovery is progressing as usual. We're trying to set hearings, at least telephonic hearings, for judges who aren't up on Zoom or any type of teleconferencing software. We're trying to set those. We're trying to move cases along as much as we can under the circumstances. As it stands now, the position that we're in and a lot of my attorney associates are in is we're up and ready to go and we can move forward, but we're being held up by the courts waiting for them to catch up. The conferences and the communications between attorneys and clients and mediators, that's all seems to be running well. I have some other lawyers that settled cases in mediation last week over Zoom teleconferencing software. And I even have one lawyer friend who's conducting Zumba classes on Zoom. So if you're interested in Zumba on Zoom, let me know and I'll hook you up with her. As far as new issues that are coming in, novel issues, I hope everybody's doing well. And, just remember, we're all in this together. It's going to take time, especially if you're involved, if you're involved in a legal issue, if you're involved in a family law issue or a criminal issue, or even a personal injury issue. This is just compounding. The situation at present is just compounding your stress. So try to take a deep breath, realize there's a whole lot of people in this boat with you, including us. We're all in this together, and that we will make it through. And in the end, we'll probably be better for it. I see a lot of changes, a lot of permanent changes coming as far as the court system goes and how things are being handled through the courts. So I think that'll be a lot of benefits. And I think there'll be a lot of benefits to society in general when this is all over and said and done. At least that's my hope anyway. But just remember, you're not alone. If you have a problem, feel free to reach out. We're here to help you as much as possible. I made my notes for today's class or for today's live. An issue came up where somebody asked on a DM, since the hospitals are so busy, what if I get into a car accident and I'm not able to get medical treatment? That can be an issue. And here's what I would recommend. In Florida, under your PIP insurance, your personal injury protection insurance, you have to seek medical services within 14 days. So if you can't get into an ER or a clinic, MD Now or any one of those types of clinics or an ER at a hospital, there are alternatives. I have several doctors that I work with that will see client referrals usually within 24 hours. But if it's bad enough, the injuries from the accident are bad enough, you're going to be transported to the hospital by fire rescue. But if for some reason you're not transported to the hospital by fire rescue and you need medical treatment, feel free to contact me. I have one in Dade, one in Broward, and one in Palm Beach that I can refer you to, and they'll take you in priority over other patients who are walk-ins. let's see, DV filings, domestic violence filings have gone up in the last, we had one come in today and we had a few come in last week and a few calls over the weekend about it. I guess, people are getting tired of being around each other. So domestic violence inquiries are going up. We filed petitions and those cases are proceeding forward just like regular. The only thing is that the final hearings are going to be delayed. You're not going to get a final hearing within the 15 days as the statute says because the courts are not going to be up. They are setting final hearings outside of the April 17th date, but if the courts extend their closures, it will go on past that time. One of the issues I noticed, or one thing I noticed is, I talked previously very briefly about societal changes. I noticed I was in Home Depot over the weekend getting something to fix something in the house. And I'm the kind of guy where I would go into Home Depot and, I'd go find what I need and then I'd go over to the tools and browse the tool section, typical guy stuff. And I noticed in Home Depot, the Home Depot that I went into, nobody was doing that. Everybody was walking in, including me, getting what they needed, getting right out. And I caught myself when I was coming out. I was like, this is the shortest time I've ever been in Home Depot in my life. So this situation I know is having an impact on people. It's having an impact on me. Thankfully, it's not a negative impact, but it's causing me to be more aware of what's going on around me, who I'm interacting with, and how I'm out in public and how long I'm out in public. Other than that, it's been at home, and this is what week 3, I guess it is, week 2.5, week 3, no, week 3. This will be week 3 starting now, and it's other than going out for the absolute necessities. I've just been staying away from people completely, and hopefully that serves me well. I think it will. I think the government knows what they're talking about when they say, stay at home, shelter at home, don't go out and about. Now, when I go out and about, there's plenty of people that are out and about. So not as many as usual, but there are plenty of people moving around. But the good thing is on a weekday, it's really quick to get downtown, but there's no reason to go downtown because the courts are closed and we're not going into the actual office per se. Go in, every now and then and pick up the mail and do what we have to do there. But otherwise, there's no reason to go downtown. All right, as far as the arrests go in Miami-Dade County usually averages between 150 and 200 arrests per day. And on Saturday, they had 25. So arrests are really, really down. I don't think it could be because there's less crime, but I think the police are being less proactive and they're cutting a lot more breaks than they used to. But that was a statistic I looked up today, and I had never seen it that low. I mean, it's the graph ends at 50, and it dips below the end of the graph on the statistics. And if you don't think, I just posted on my social media a couple hours ago, if you don't think that the authorities and the government are taking the stay-at-home stuff seriously, look at the Tampa Tribune or the Tampa Times or whatever the newspaper is in Tampa. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office arrested a church pastor for holding services at a megachurch. I thought that was interesting. I didn't think it would get that far, but I guess since, they had the services, they kind of flaunted the services, and the sheriff felt he had to do something, so they went out and arrested the pastor. But that article is in the local Tampa newspaper. Another thing that has come up, we've been getting calls on, is healthcare directives and healthcare designations. Basically, who you authorize to make healthcare decisions if you're not able to. And once again, that's something I didn't think of, but I probably should have thought of. And I'll just mention that here for you. If you happen to get sick or something and you go to the hospital and you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that person may not get in to see you, and that person may not or probably won't be allowed to make healthcare decisions for you if you're unable to. So you may want to look into that. If you're in Florida, you can DM me or email me. I could send you the form. Those are real easy to take care of. I can send you the form. You can fill it out, have it notarized, and keep it in your personal documents and your safe documents or whatever. Just make sure somebody else knows that it exists and where to go looking for it. And that just ensures that, if you're not married, of course your spouse should be able to go in and see you. But if you're not married, you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they may get turned away from the hospital. And if you don't want that, or if you want somebody else to make decisions for you, like a parent, you need to have that healthcare designation. I've been getting a lot of DMs and questions about what's going to happen as far as lawsuits go and the coronavirus, and is there civil liability. And I think that's going to be something in the future that's going to emerge into maybe a specialty area. But I got a call over the weekend from my buddy Don in New Orleans, who works for a healthcare provider, and he was told to do something and he didn't think it was right, and he called me, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if for one, it's not my area of law, but I don't know how they're going to deal with this. Whether if you get infected by somebody else, or you get infected because of a situation that was created by somebody else, whether it's going to be an on-the-job injury through workman's comp, or it's going to be outside civil liability, I don't know, but that's probably going to be a specialty area that'll come up in the future, and we'll all have to figure that out as we go along. All right, let me check my notes here, see if I have anything else to bring up to you on the update. I'll try to do these updates on Mondays around 6 o'clock. It's the same time I do my lives on Wednesdays. I do a live every Wednesday, so if you want to join me this coming Wednesday on a live, I'm doing how do you calculate alimony and child support. I touched on that briefly in my last live, and I got a bunch of follow-up questions, so I'm going to do a more detailed explanation of how that's determined and how that works, and how child support and alimony interact together in the state of Florida. All right, I got my stories. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover for this few minutes. Let me look and see if there's any questions that have come up. All right, let's go back over to TikTok and see. I had a couple of people make comments. Are you a teacher? No, I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer in South Florida, only Florida law. Say happy birthday to Nick Gurr. Okay, I just did. Constantine from Panama City Beach. I love that place. Panama City Beach is alive. That's good. What is a way to get virus benefits from the government? Again, that's not my area of law. From what I understand, they passed some new legislation where they're going to send everybody a check. So I don't know how that's going to work. I know you can apply for SBA loans and disaster grants, but I'm not familiar with that area of law, so I really can't help on that. All right, let's look over to Facebook. Nobody on Facebook asking questions. And it looks like we are good so far on YouTube. All right, that's all I had to cover for the Monday update on courts, cases, and life in general. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's maintaining their sanity. I know it could be a little stressful. The kids are and running all over the place. Everybody's at home, sheltering in place. There's no place to go. Down here in Florida, all the beaches are closed. All the parks are closed. So if you wanted to go anywhere, you really can't go anywhere anyway. The only places you can go are the grocery store and Walmart, and that's not a whole lot of fun, but that's about it as far as fun goes, at least for the time being, at least in the Miami area. Other than that, it's just been sitting around, getting stuff done, working on other projects. Again, this is a good time to get your side hustle going. I posted a video about my side hustle last week, one of my side hustles. A lot of people got a kick out of it, so take a look at that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I get a lot of questions from everything from how to run a law practice, how to run a business, how to start a business, questions about law, all kinds of things. I may not know the answer, but I could probably direct you to the correct answer on topics of law which are outside of my practice areas, or at least refer you to somebody else. So if you have any questions along those lines, I'm by no means an expert, but I will tell you what has worked for me in the past and how I may be able to give you an answer or give you an insight, just another pair of eyes and ears on a subject that you may not have thought of. And that's how collaboration works, and we're all about collaborating here and getting along and just trying to make the best out of this situation that we can. And then hopefully it'll all go away and we'll be back to backyard barbecues and parties by at least the 4th of July. Anyway, if there's no more questions, let's see. Let's look everywhere. I think we're caught up with questions. Once again, if you have a question, you can find me on all the social media platforms. On Facebook, you can find me at Ask a Florida Divorce Lawyer, that group page, my law firm page, Patrick J. McGeehan, Law Offices of Patrick J. McGeehan. You can find me on LinkedIn as Patrick McGeehan, on Twitter as at PJ McGeehan Law. And if you look on Twitter, if you go to the first pinned tweet on my profile, there's a informational cheat sheet there that'll teach you how to save money on attorney's fees. So if you have a case going and you want to save a few bucks, look at that. You can download it. Instagram, I'm the Magic City Lawyer. TikTok, I'm Magic City Lawyer. Snapchat and Tumblr, Magic City Lawyer. Feel free to DM me or email me at patrick@pjmlawyer.com. Any questions you have or any suggestions you have for topics to cover in a live stream, I'll be happy to answer those. If you want to appear on a podcast with me, let me know what topics you're interested in, and we'll see about setting you up as a guest on my podcast. And if you have any questions about how the teleconferencing technology works and interacting with the courts, feel free to let me know. If you're a lawyer, you need help setting up, let me know. I've helped a couple lawyers week before last and last week set up their Zoom and to be able to do their conferences. It's pretty simple. It's nothing extravagant, as you can see. It's just a very basic setup, but it seems to work very, very well. As a matter of fact, last week, with two other lawyers, we taught a family law class through Zoom. And I will post that video once they send me the full video link. I'll post that video to my YouTube channel. So if you have any questions about family law depositions, meeting with a guardian ad litem, preparing for trial, preparing for hearings, that will answer some of those questions. It's about an hour-long video, and you'll have the benefit of listening to the opinions of me and two other attorneys. All right, I thank you for joining me. I am once again humbled at all the people that check in on the various platforms and come and listen to me. I'm humbled that so many people ask me questions that seek insight from me. I'm very, very humbled and that, very appreciative to all of you. I want you all to be safe. Remember, if we're in this together, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. We're here to help. Good night and be safe and be healthy.